Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. We'll just give another 30 seconds as people are still joining in before we start off. Okay, so we'll start the webinar now. So today's is the 20th event under the Talking Interoperability series organized by Digital Convergence Initiative, which aims to advancing interoperability in the social protection sector. Today's webinar is on data exchange platforms for interoperability. We'll have a short intro to this topic, followed by 3 country approaches, which you will all enjoy, followed by opportunity to ask questions. Okay, some housekeeping rules before we get going. We have 2 boxes. One is the Q&A box, where we request you to post your questions so that the moderator can pick them up and post them to the panelists and the speakers. And you also have another box called the chat box, where you can post your comments, introduce yourselves, and also share any relevant resources which the audience might find useful. Simultaneous interpretation is available for this webinar. We have it in 4 languages: English, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. So you can pick a language with which you're most comfortable. And this session will be recorded. So I'm assuming your consent with the video as well as audio for participating in this webinar. So the agenda for today, we have 4 key sections. First will be introduction of the speakers, the series, and the topic, followed by country presentations from India, Uganda, and Chile. Then we have Maxim, who is going to moderate a panel discussion with the 3 speakers, and then followed by audience question and answers before we close the webinar. So quickly introducing the team, speaker team here. So this is myself, Anita Mittal, doing the opening. I'm a component lead leading the Digital Convergence Initiative at GIZ. I'm a technical person, computer science engineer, and I've been driving this Digital Convergence Initiative project since its inception 4 years back. I also am an identification and data exchange platform expert, a DPI expert, along with being a social protection expert with GIZ. The first presenter that's on your display is Juan from Chile. Juan is a computer science engineer from Chile's Metropolitan Technological University and has over 20 years of public and private sector experience. Since 2018, he has led government interoperability efforts and was the technical lead for designing, developing, and implementing Chile's new state interoperability platform, PISEE. The second person on the slide is Emmanuel Yeka. He has over 16 years of ICT experience, is head of IT at Uganda's Ministry of Gender, Labor, and Social Development. He has led major digital initiatives, including national registries and information systems, and holds advanced degrees in ICT management, policy, and technology. A very well-rounded personality for IT. The third speaker you have is Santosh Kadam, who has over 29 years in general, but 20 plus years of experience in solution architecture across telecom, finance, and government domains. He has worked on delivering award-winning projects like Kutumba, which he will be presenting today for the Karnataka government. He is skilled in large-scale data platforms, security, and microservices, and has deep expertise in data governance and public sector digital transformation. And the moderator for today's webinar is Maxim, GovStack data lead since April 2025, and has over 8 years of experience in e-governance. He led Ukraine's Trambita data exchange platform, which I understand is based on X-Road, and supported digital transformation efforts in many other countries like Greenland, Benin, Malaysia, and Brazil, focusing on interoperability, data exchange, and public service digitization. So welcome to the speakers and to the audience to this webinar. So quick 2-3 minute intro on what is this digital convergence initiative. Some of you may already know, but for the benefit of others. So digital convergence initiative is a working group under Universal Social Protection 2030, an organization which has members from international organizations, donors, and countries, with the objective of supporting digital transformation of social protection systems. This initiative is funded by EU and German government and implemented by GIZ, ILO, World Bank, Expertise France, and FIAT. And we have many other contributing partners like UNICEF, FAO, ISA, supporting this initiative. So how do we aim to achieve digital transformation in social protection sector? Under DCI, the work is happening under these 4 big pillars. First is knowledge sharing about the best practices and how digital transformation should be done, how privacy, data protection aspects should be implemented. And this we will be doing through 2 types of products. One is knowledge products, which includes case studies, reports, toolkits, as well as events. One of them is this talking interoperability and in-person workshops. And we also had a series of workshops called Interoperability in Action. All these event recordings are available on our website, spdci.org. So feel free to go through them as per your availability. Global technical standards. So this is the second pillar where we are building consensus on technical standards for interoperability across various interfaces, and we will show these in subsequent slides. But these are available in a open digital repository on Gitbook and GitHub. Having developed these knowledge products and standards, we are now helping countries to implement digital transformation in the social protection sector. We have identified 17 countries which will provide financial and technical support for implementing social protection measures. And for other countries, we have a facility called the Help Desk, where only technical support will be provided to countries to help in their digital transformation effort. And to do all this digital transformation, we have the 4th pillar, which is capacity building, where trainings would be provided to the people, practitioners or social protection practitioners to implement digital projects. And there will also be a self-e-learning module to be launched by the end of the year. So quick one slide on what is this talking interoperability. This was basically to understand how countries have implemented integrated and interoperable social protection systems. What are the challenges? What were the lessons learned? So to that extent, this particular talking interoperability webinar is a bit different compared to others where we used to do a deep dive into the social protection systems components, but here it's how these social protection systems interact using a enterprise service bus or a data exchange platform, an API gateway, or a middleware, generic term for it. So the recordings of past sessions are available on these websites, on these links on our websites. And it's also available on sp.org. So if we go back and see some of our old events, webinars, we had this Turkey presents its integrated and interoperable system called ISAS. And then we learned that for their social registry, they collect data from over 23 systems through an interoperability mechanism. Data is shared by these administrative databases to create a complete socioeconomic record of that person. And that person doesn't have to supply any data at the time of application. So the focus of these quick 2-3 slides is to show the massive data exchange that takes place in the social protection sector for delivering services to the people. So this is for social registry, data is collected. The second, which we did in our interoperability in action for integrated beneficiary registry, we see that for different programs that provide services, which could be related to emergency assistance or a cash transfer or a health insurance subsidy or energy subsidy. So each of these program systems shares their data with another entity of social protection systems called integrated beneficiary registry to feed data on all the benefits and the beneficiaries who have benefited from any program. So here again, you see massive data exchange happening from all different programs into a single system. And this is a visual from Pakistan's social protection systems architecture, where we see different administrative systems sharing data into their social registry, which is called NSER, a National Socioeconomic Register. And then this data is shared with many other program systems to enable eligibility decisions and enrollment, to enable beneficiaries to be selected from the poorest of the poor, depending on eligibility criteria. So here we are showing that there is so much of data exchange happening in the social protection sector. Then what is now this interoperability? So for us, interoperability is the ability of systems to communicate with each other in a meaningful way. So if an old woman, Miss Elena, wants to get a benefit for disabled people, she goes to this program, provides her either disability ID or a national ID, which is authenticated using the ID system. Her disability status is fetched from the disability registry. Her poverty status is fetched from the social registry. And from the IBR, you fetch data to ensure that this person is not already getting another benefit, which is complementary with this or supplementary with this. And then once this person meets the requirements of this program, the benefits are transferred to her bank account digitally. So within a few minutes, the service will be made available to Elena because of this interoperability. And here, when we say interoperability, we are having the data sent by one system, understood well by the other system, and then data exchange happens. So what do we need for this interoperability to happen? So standards are indispensable for interoperability. Following the EU interoperability framework, the standards consist of three main parts under the DCI standards framework. One is process standards, data standards, and API standards, dealing with workflows of the business processes, the data elements, their formats, and code dictionaries, as well as request response APIs used for data exchange. So we're only focusing on the interoperability aspects and not for the standards within a particular system. And all these standards are available on our Gitbook and GitHub repository, the links of which are placed here. So far, we have worked on different interfaces. So 5 of these interfaces where a social protection information system interacts with civil registration system. What are the interoperability standards have been published? So have they been published for the social registry, IBR, disability registry, and farmer registry systems interacting with social protection systems. Currently, we are setting up the committee for ID standards, which can be used by social protection system, social registry IDR, and all the other systems, because ID system is a DPI, which is used by the whole of government. Similarly, payment system, DPI is digital public infrastructure. So ID system, payment system, and data exchange are known as DPI by quite a few agencies. Then employment registries and early warning systems, interoperability with SP systems will be looked into by the DCI team subsequently. Now, when we said data exchange, you need standards, you will wonder if the standards are there, what are these green boxes? How do you ensure that the data exchange happens with security, privacy, ensuring the right access control, ensuring that you do not throttle or provide a denial of service attack to another system? How do we ensure this happens? So for this, we have these green boxes that you see with in front of each of the systems. So each of the systems, when they exchange data with other systems, there are a few activities or tasks which need to be performed to ensure that the data exchange is secure and ensuring privacy and ensuring performance for this data exchange to happen based on the standards. So what are some of these activities which are performed by these green boxes that we are showing? One is authentication. Is this system the right one which is talking to me? So if I say a cash transfer program can talk to a social registry, is it the cash transfer program or is it somebody else faking to be a cash transfer program trying to access my data? So authenticate the entity which is trying to access the data. Ensure that it is a secure channel. We want that the data that is transiting on the internet is not subject to any attack by man in the middle, or it is also not seen by people when it is transiting. So you include encryption. Then how do we ensure that this data is confidential? Through encryption, then integrity and non-repudiation. So if I send a message that transfer 10,000, the other system should get the data of 10,000. How do you ensure the integrity of data is maintained? How can the other system check if somebody made any change after the person who was sharing data had digitally signed it, saying, do this activity? Then can this program not deny having sent this message? That is non-repudiation. So this is done through digital signatures. Standardized communication between different components using a common protocol, routing the message. So if this layer gets a message, it has to be able to decide whether it should send to ID system or payment system, ensuring granular access control to which APIs or to which request or data elements does a system A have access, to which. So once you give access to a system, they should not get control of the whole database. They should get access to only the defined records and the defined fields for data sharing. Then there is this feature of logging to check that whatever has been sent is logged, which can be used in the court of law. Monitoring the speed with which the data is being sent. If there is a protocol that you cannot send more than 20 requests per second, how do we ensure that somebody is not sending too many requests and bringing the system down? And last but not least is service discovery and definition. So how do you discover which service, which APIs are available for fetching data? So it's some of these elements can be provided by this data exchange layer components. So now here today we will see 3 country approaches. So when we look at India, there is no middleware or data exchange platform. So the way you see green boxes in the previous slide, each system has its own interoperability layer or API layer, which performs some of the functions or all of the functions which I listed in the previous slide. Second country case is Uganda, which is using WSO2, an open source centralized architecture model enterprise service bus, where all these green pieces, you can imagine them coalesced into a centralized modular system with very thin component at each of these systems. So all these activities, most of these activities listed are performed in this central layer. And the third country case will be Chile, which has a decentralized approach where you have a security server denoting that green box which you saw in the previous slide to implement all the features or some of the features listed in the previous slide, as well as there is another central component to ensure orchestration of these green layers to ensure they all work in cohesive, seamless, coordinated manner. So today we have brought to you 3 very different approaches. All are implementing interoperability, but the data exchange layer that they are using are very different. And this is to address one of the questions which I've been hearing from all when you're working from many, when they're doing this interoperability standards. They say, how do interoperability standards differ or are similar to the data exchange platform? So with this, we are showing all the 3 models which use different data exchange layers, can use the same standards, but different data exchange layers, which comes after you have implemented the standards. With this, I'll hand over to Maxime, who is the moderator for the session today. Maxime, over to you.
Thank you, Anita. Yeah, we're a little bit behind schedule, so welcome everyone from my side as well. And without further ado, I would give the word to the presenter from India, Mr. Santosh Kadam, who is the senior consultant in the technology management area, working for the Karnataka state government in India. So yeah, over to you, Santosh, please.
Thank you, Maxim, for the kind introduction. It's a great opportunity for me to present the case study of what we have implemented as a social protection program over here. I'll present my slides and maybe we'll go over from there. So I hope my screens are visible. The presentation slides are visible.
Yes.
Yeah. So a brief intro about the state of Karnataka from India. It's a southern state, 6th largest in terms of geography. The population is roughly around 67 million individuals, grouped in 16 million households as per the projected census population from 2020 to 23. Considered as a pioneer state in e-governance, the following major social protection programs currently are active in Karnataka. Few of them are listed over here. So there's a public distribution system, PDS, which distributes food grains to the needy or the below income poverty people need. Roughly around 55 million individuals benefit from the public distribution system in Karnataka. The free electricity supply up to about 200 units of consumption per month, covering nearly around 15 million individuals of this particular scheme called Graha Jyoti. The special protection guarantee scheme is basically a monthly payment of Indian rupees 2,000 given to the eldest woman in the family. Roughly around 12 million women in the state benefit from this this particular scheme called Graha Lakshmi. And then we have a health insurance scheme, which basically is run in coordination with the central government, and roughly around 10 million individuals are enrolled to the health insurance scheme from Karnataka. So going forward, this is generally the landscape of digital public infrastructure, the DPI systems of Karnataka. I'll run through through this of this. So starting with, we have our own Karnataka GIS, the Geographic Information System, which caters to the geospatial needs of every applications which run in Karnataka. It's a layered system. Then we have deprivation data based upon SCCC, the socioeconomic caste and survey data. Then we have a platform which is state scholarship platform, the Bangalore one, Karnataka one, Grama one, or the doorstep delivery citizen services. Then we have a e-Samati, which basically is a comprehensive verification, credential verification system. The Seva Sindhu is a single window system wherein citizens can enroll themselves and apply for various services across the state. Bhumi is a registration, land record registration system, digitization of land records in Karnataka. Khajane is basically the finance management system. E-procurement is this platform which provides the procurement needs for the government agencies. Nada Kacheri is a system where income and caste certificates are issued to various applicants in Karnataka. So these are some of the registries now. The eJanma is a birth and death registration system. It's a birth and death registry. Fruits is essentially a farmer's registry where farmers' data and their land-related information is accessible from this. The student attendance tracking system is essentially a student registry system where the students' details are enrolled and available across this registry. The MNREGA, which is basically the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. The unskilled workers in Karnataka get up to 100 days of work and work payments under this particular scheme. There is a UDID, the Disability Registry, which is which is recording the disabled people and their type of disabilities, the percentage of disabilities across this registry. So if you look at these three layers, so there are varied systems which are available across Karnataka, and then using them, we have generated the social protection system consisting of around 5 pillars, and I'll cover that in my next slide. So it's basically a social protection registry called Kutumba, which consists of around 55 million citizens' data within the registry, based on the national identity system called Aadhaar of Government of India and followed by Government of Karnataka here. Suvidha is eligibility system which allows residents to discover the schemes from government as per their individual data or the family data. The state DBT portal is the government to citizen payments platform, and among all of these, there's an integrated public grievance redressal portal or a platform where the citizen can enroll the grievances across the departments onto this platform and get addressed over here. So if you look at the Kutumba as an ecosystem, we have 5 major components. As we saw, there's a social registry of 55 million people of Karnataka, grouped across around 1.4 households. And this particular social registry system consists of various attributes of residents, be it the personal attributes, be it the family attributes, the demographic attributes, their socioeconomic attributes, and so on. So it's a vast registry consisting of rich data, which is used for service delivery purpose. I'll cover in my subsequent slides how this data is exchanged across different services, how this data gets enriched in terms of creation of this data and usage of this data. Then there's the integrated beneficiary registry, which is the benefits which residents have received. It's a registry of different benefits which the residents have received, which allows us to map the parameters of social registry to the actual beneficiary benefits received by different people. As covered, Suvidha is basically an eligibility discovery platform where the residents input their basic parameters and they can identify which of the schemes they are eligible for, so that they can apply then subsequently onto the each of the departments individual platforms. The payment platform, it's a direct benefit transfer platform based upon the Aadhaar based payment. Now, whenever I use the term Aadhaar, it is basically in India's citizen identity identifier, basically the citizen identity system. And the direct benefit eliminates all the banking hazards or necessities. It abstracts the necessities from different systems, and it gives a seamless payment system using the Aadhaar enabled payment system. So that's a DBT platform which we have. And as discussed or as communicated, we have the grievance redressal covering the grievances across all these particular systems. So when we look at the Kutumba ecosystem or the social protection system, generally we have encompassed the social registry to the grievance redressal systems across all these 5 pillars of systems in Karnataka. What were the objectives when we started? It's basically to easy access to government benefits for poor and needy, bringing in the inclusive growth so that it's basically widespread distribution of benefits as opposed to some componentized or categorized benefits. Prioritizing poor and needy getting the government benefits. Basically, even if the certain schemes may have a limited budget, so identifying the more needies based upon the need score, and then delivering the services to that was one of the objectives of our protection system. Minimize and remove the state machineries wherever it is required. The faceless and the paperless systems which can bring in the right authentic beneficiaries to the schemes, eliminating the leakages across. Enable the poor to seek and get help whenever there is a sudden shocks. For example, when we had sudden COVID deaths, the system was put to use to deliver benefits to the monetary benefits to the deceased people and so on. Or whenever there is a calamity of flood or certain emergencies, the social protection system gets to use to address the affected people in those areas and so on. So that's one of the objective which we had when we initiated to create this system. It's an evidence-based planning for a data analytics purpose based upon how many beneficiaries are getting covered under this particular system. If a scheme has to be launched before launching, so that it gives the different finance, it gives the finance department as well the idea of how much is going to be the outlay of the upfront outlay for a given particular scheme and so on. So such data analytics can also be derived from the social protection data system that we have. One of the very basic important principle we go with the system is like ask the data only once, because we have connected to variety of systems capturing the data. So once we know a person's identity number, the national identity number Aadhaar, then we would be able to fetch that particular details from the connected systems and present it to the necessary servicing and necessary processing further. So it's basically all of this leads to a proactive governance by means of identifying the beneficiaries, by means of eliminating the leakages and rightly distributing the services across the needies and poors. So when we look at the functional structure, as we discussed around, so Kutumba as a social protection system is an interconnection of variety of department IT data systems or the DPIs from various department data sets. On the left hand side of the diagram, there are department data which are basically shared across. There is a housing department has the housing beneficiary data which are shared to the Kutumba system. The caste and income details of an individuals are available from, as we said, the revenue department's Nada Kachari system for the processing purpose. The farmer registry gets integrated to the Kutumba system, providing the farmers and their land holding related details. The health beneficiary systems enrolls the people for particular health insurance and the needy treatments, particular schemes, and so on. So basically, there are numerous systems at present to share over around 30 government department systems interacting with Kutumba system to provide the rich attributes to enrich the data sets of in Kutumba. So all of these systems interact to the centralized Kutumba system through the APIs, and with the APIs sharing the data, the Kutumba data system, the social protection system, enriches the attributes for individuals, considering the individual attributes or the social attributes or the family attributes and so on. So the central processing unit over here is becoming basically like a family enrollment, personal and individual attributes which have enriched data with the data. These data sets are then shared across the various client applications, be it a survey, multiple applications doing different type of surveys. For example, there is an out-of-school survey which was conducted by the government, and the Kutumba data set was used for the out-of-school survey. There was a socioeconomic caste survey identifying the subcasts of the of a particular scheduled caste, and also such surveys used the Kutumba data sets through the APIs and the data sharing. Different government beneficiary schemes like Grah Lakshmi, Grah Jyoti, or the health card systems, or basically the housing scheme systems. So all of these schemes use the Kutumba data, which is generated out of interconnection of the systems through the APIs and data sharing mechanisms, and then also used for the scheme formulation and budgeting requirements by various departments, including the line department to the finance department and so on. And as we discussed, out of this data generation from various sources, the 5 modules which are, or 5 platforms which are additionally generated, it's a social registry, Suvidha, the beneficiary registry, the grievance redressal, and DBT. So coming to the overall functionality, if you look at it, as we discussed, there is at the core of our social registry platform, there is a social registry of 55 million individuals comprising of around 70 odd attributes, of particularly the family attributes as well as the individual attributes. And all of these data sets are then shared with different departments through the access registry of APIs. The different types of APIs which we have integrated over here is basically, when we say forward APIs, the department query the data for their usage purpose. For example, if a person is applying for a housing scheme, then the housing department application query Kutumba social registry for details of a person. Once the housing application is processed and completed, a house is allotted, a beneficiary ID is generated for that particular person. The department reshares the data back with the additional attributes as the reverse integration APIs to Kutumba, and then Kutumba updates this data into its social registry just as in time as the beneficiaries are created. So this is one of the important factors that the APIs and inline integrations allow us to do, is in-time integration of the data which is exchanged across different systems. The departments can then validate. So we have a interface of interfacing APIs towards the departments which do validations of this data. The citizens use this data for verifying their own details, as well as modifying any of these parameters or any of these changes to the data sets. And then the department applications used for the service deliveries, this particular data sets and applications. So that's the general overall view of how the Kutumba system integrates with provides the APIs for various purposes, for the forward integration purpose as well as the reverse integration purpose, and the department APIs or ad hoc APIs. We also have the ad hoc APIs which integrate with different services, like the name translation service, where the English names are transliterated to Kannada names, or the name match service, which is basically important for us to also identify a record matching between the ID and the name. So these are the ad hoc APIs also, which are the part of the API ecosystem, which is available in Kutumba social protection system. So as we say, the data is largely variable and changing in the nature. So the PDS beneficiary registry, the public distribution beneficiary registry, issues number of ration cards, new ration cards to the people which allows them to get the ration from the government. Birth and registry data set is another live data set where numerous births and deaths happen every day, and those data sets are also available. Housing registry or the farmer registry, these are the every day. And then the middle layer API to have the exchange to get the information from all of these systems in a live manner, wherever in a live manner, like for example, the PDS system sends the data at the end of the day for all the new records which are registered into the system. Same is with birth and death and housing beneficiaries. So at the end of each day, we get a set of records which are processed into the Kutumba registry, and then they are made available for different applications like the pension registration application or the budgetary estimation purpose for the new schemes. Different dashboards are generated out of such data sets to give insights on how are the data sets, what are the attributes of data sets, and how the schemes are utilizing these data sets, and various analytics and insights. So as a ecosystem, it's basically a live ecosystem generating and enriching the data as the data gets created and also shared across the different systems. So that is how currently the whole existing system is in function for the Karnataka's social protection system called Kutumba over here.
Sorry, Santosh, I don't. Let's try to cover like your other slides really quick because we are behind the schedule.
Sure. So as a part of the data paradigm, I mean, let's run through quickly. There are a few basic requirements which we have also discussed from Anita's slide. Like there is a need for the security of the communication. There is a need for the performance throttling, the standardization of information that is exchanged, the role-based access controls, and the AAA mechanism like authentication, authorization, and accounting. All of these functions basically in the Kutumba APIs. We also perform, apart from all these functions like the securities, the standardizations, the role-based access, the AAA accounting, authorization, and authentication mechanisms. We also handle the necessary protocol and the payload translations, basically to translate the data payload from XML to JSON, JSON to XML, basically the SOAP APIs to the REST APIs, and so on. What I mean by that. The business logic and functional orchestrations, we implement certain business logic requirements within the APIs to share the data between department A to department B. I'll just cover quickly the rate limiting, the throughputs, authentication. We use the authentication using the key-based authentication, that is basically the digital signing of the whole packets and the data in transit and data at the rest over there. So this is a list of the things which we practically do at our hand. So we have a TLS 1.2 and above HTTP channel for all this APIs. The AES encryption 256 encryption algorithm is enforced for all of the APIs. The digital signing of request and response happens across all the APIs. The data at rest is also encrypted using the database and column level encryption. To run with the data exchanges, different types of formats which we support over here is basically XML, JSON, or any other proprietary formats. Kutumba API layer translates this seamlessly between the two department requests and data, implements the business functions across as the required by each departments in the middle layer. The time-bound access. So we have the basically restriction. The API layer allows the restrictions to access what information to be accessed during what time and allow date and time and so on. So basically that is the data exchange functionality implemented by the layer, and a lot of analytics are derived out of this particular data sets and the data access which is done across the data layer. I think these are some of the numbers which I would be happier to share. Like we have had around 250 million hits as recorded of last 15 months. 50 odd active departments which are accessing the Kutumba's data for their service deliveries and all. So these are the top 10. So Student scholarship platform has sought the data of 62 million hits have come from them. The caste and income has around 40 millions and so on. So these are some of the top 10 lists which we have, top 10 applications list which are accessing the data from Kutumba, and we are generally good to say that this data exchange platform has been used and extensively for the service delivery in Karnataka actually. So I think, yeah, thank you for giving this opportunity to present our Kutumba platform's state over here, and maybe we'll interact over the questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Santosh. I would probably, I have a few questions, but I would probably leave them for the Q&A session, because I want to hand over to Mr. Emmanuel Yeka from Uganda, who will talk about, who is the head of information communications technology, working for Uganda Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. And he will talk about Uganda's national single registry for social protection, how they built it, and what lessons did they learn in the integration process. So please, Mr. Yeka, you have 15 minutes.
Yes, thank you very much, Maxime, and thank you to the DCI team for giving me this opportunity to present the Uganda experience in implementing our single registry for social protection, specifically our experiences in integrations and interoperability of systems. So just a little background of Uganda. We are a country in East Africa with a population of about 45.9 million. That is from the last census, with 50% of this population being children. So a relatively young country, and 23.5% being youth. That is between the ages of 18 to 30 years. Older persons at 5%, and literacy levels at 79%, the poverty count at 20.3%, then 39% of the households that are about 10.5 million live under the subsistence economy. Our social protection system is guided by a national social protection policy, which is primarily made up of two key pillars, that is social security and then social care and support services. In our context, social protection interventions are both by government and also the private sector. The social security pillar has direct income support and social insurance. Majority of our programs currently fall under the direct income support thematic area, with quite a number of programs therein, and then also social insurance, where we have public service pension, and then the social security fund, among others. So our single registry, which is our point of discussion today, serves all these different pillars of social protection in the country. By definition, which I think has already been mentioned, it is a unified portal that consolidates all essential information on both potential and actual beneficiaries of social protection programs. Our portal is accessible to the public who can access a high-level dashboard, but also there is a private portal where program MISs can be able to run a number of services on the registry. In terms of the social protection architecture, It is largely based on the 3 layers, the first being the social registry. As a country, we are yet to establish a social registry, which ideally would be the database of vulnerable and the poor. But in the absence of it, the second layer, which is the program management information systems, have to undertake the initial processes of outreach, intake, and registration. So it is fragmented at that level, but as a country, we are now transitioning to have a fully fledged social registry. In the third layer, we have the single registry for social protection, which collects all this information from the different social protection programs, but also does a number of services, including verification of beneficiaries, which is only able or possible through linkages with external databases. One of the key databases we have an integration with is the national ID database for purposes of verifying all beneficiaries of social protection programs, as well as flagging duplications and things of that nature. In terms of the model, this is the conceptual model of social protection system. At the top, you can see we still have the social registry there, and with linkages to the other systems. Then in the middle, we have the various, both government and non-governmental social protection programs, where interventions and actual implementation of social protection happens. And then also future social protection responses, like during COVID, we had to have special interventions to address the social protection needs of the day, especially through the cash transfers to those that were affected. At the bottom, of course, is the beneficiary registry that stores all this information and does reporting, intervention mapping, consolidation of grievances, among others. So through the typical cycle of social protection intervention, we're able to assess the needs of the potential applicants, make decisions based on eligibility criteria, and eventually implement. And that, of course, also influences policy reforms, beneficiary profiling, and also better planning in general. This is a snapshot of our programs per the different thematic areas. Those that are green, as you can see, are active integrations onto the single registry. The ones in amber or orange, we're in the process of finalizing the integrations, and those in red, there's still no active integrations. Those that are not yet there, of course, one reason or the other that will explain why they are not integrated. We let us see how we've been able to achieve this through the integration platform that later came to life during the implementation of our registry, that is the Enterprise Service Bus, otherwise called the UG Hub. So we've had a number of achievements during this implementation phase. We launched our registry in 2021, so it's about 4 years into implementation, but we've been able to do quite a number of these, including integrations with a number of other key government systems. We also linked or integrated with the government integration platform, as I've mentioned, which has been a game changer in our social protection system. UG Hub is a middleware that helps us integrate with other government entities and also those in the private sector. When we launched, this platform was not there, so we had to do a lot of peer-to-peer integrations that had a lot of challenges as we later see. We also had other achievements. In the interest of time, I'll just quickly run through them, but there was a lot of documentations and data sharing protocols that we came up with. We also signed a number of memorandums of understanding for the transfer of data. The fact that you're dealing with cross-boundary entities most of the time, it's important to have a memorandum of understanding to define how the data will be shared, how frequently, how you'll handle issues of data protection and privacy, among others. So, like I mentioned, we our journey in our single registry for social protection started without an integrated electronic service bus, what we call UG Hub. So we had to do our integrations in a peer-to-peer manner. So that is our ministry and another ministry, and that came with quite a number of challenges. And one of those, of course, is the challenge of data sharing between the ministries. You had to go through a long process of memorandum of understanding, deal with the fears of the other entity to share data with you. Because for social protection to be effective, data has to be granular. If you have to reach out to that household and its members, sometimes you need data of a personal nature. Many of our systems were in different maturity levels, so that also has a complexity in its own way. Some systems were not fully ready to integrate at the time. We also had legacy systems that did not support API integrations and had to have upgrades or had to be re-engineered to be up to the required level. Data synchronization issues were also a challenge in terms of different data formats and structures, and that made seamless integration a challenge. One of the bigger issues that we faced as a country was the administrative master lists. Different systems define locations differently. If you are to aggregate data, they will not match, or you'll not be able to consolidate reports. Security and privacy issues, which required a number of interventions to secure data while in transit between the different entities. The other big challenge we also faced was the issue of vendor lock-in. Many of our government systems are supported by vendors that have specific service level agreements or contracts to deliver specific modules. So in the event that you want to do an integration that will require developing or updating an API, the other ministry will not have the vendor readily accept to take on that task. And that affected our ability to integrate with them. Project management also was a challenge in a way. You are managing a project to establish the registry or do integrations within a specific timeline. The agency you want to integrate with is not readily available or dragging their feet. That also affects how you are able to deliver your end. So how have we been able to circumvent these challenges? Government of Uganda came up with what we call the UG Hub, which was guided by our national ICT policy that emphasizes consolidation of services. And the service bus is managed by our national IT authority. And it runs on an open source platform. Particularly, we use the WSO2 technology stack, which is open source. And we've been able to, as a country, connect 62 public institutions, 73 private ones. And with it, integration has become much easier. The fact that it has now eliminated the peer-to-peer connections. Once we have a link with the integration bus or UG hub, we simply for any new integration needs, the process of having that API onboarded is much faster. The platform has requisite maintenance and support. The first line, of course, provided by the National IT Authority technical team in itself. But if there are issues that require further escalation, there is the vendor that deployed that particular service within government. In terms of the ecosystem, this is how the UG Hub sits. This is similar to the architecture I showed you earlier, but if you look at the third layer here where we have the single registry, the UG Hub is able to help us integrate with key third-party systems in governments like the National ID database, several other services in government like business registration, revenue management, the land registry are all have data points within the integration platform. So that makes it easier for our social protection systems to pick data of interest in our interventions. And this, of course, will inform largely the social registry that we seek to have as a country. In the last few years, we've been doing a number of benchmarking studies of other registries. And our biggest fear as a country was to have a static registry that is not regularly updated and perhaps would prove a challenge in terms of giving us proper targeting information. So the UG Hub, we expect it to supplement the information that we shall collect in the registry and verify it against other databases like the land registry, the early warning systems in government, the civil and vital statistics database, amongst others. So we also, like we faced during COVID, once we got that shock as a country, it was very hard for us to quickly identify those that had lost jobs, those that had been affected by many of the public health measures that were put in place. But to the exchange of real-time exchange of data through the UG Hub, we expect it to now become much easier and seamless. There are key features within our integration platform, WSO2. Like I mentioned, it's vendor neutral, based on open source. We host it in country on our infrastructure. Our regulations require all government systems and data to be hosted on Government of Uganda infrastructure. It has a robust API management function. So as a ministry responsible for social protection, we are easily able to create, share, and consume APIs in real time with the other entities. Issues of semantic and systems catalog have also been centralized. I mentioned the issue of varying administrative units across different government systems. These have now been harmonized, making it much easier to share data across. Then reporting and analytics. This is, of course, is very beneficial to NITA. They're able to tell how many hits have been there for a particular service, and they share this information with us, the government ministries. In terms of opportunities, the integration platform or UG Hub, I think offers us a good foundation for the dynamic social registry that we seek to have. Its very foundations are anchored in linkages with external systems. You cannot only rely on data collection from surveys and other methods of registration of beneficiaries. You need to update it, and also verify it against other databases. So you can only do that effectively where there's a service bus that offers that linkage. Increased accountability and transparency through public reporting and dashboards will be easier. The fact that you're able to detect issues like benefit frauds, duplication of benefits across programs. This also is much easier with information exchange across the different programs. The targeting, we expect it to be better. We intend to use the proxy means test to inform targeting, and this can only be enriched with third-party verification. So if you have endpoints with the land registry, for example, if you have endpoints with the pensions database, these all inform the PMT score, and that definitely enables you to target the most vulnerable and most in need beneficiaries. So the resources, the minimal resources will actually go to the right target. Better planning and coordination across agencies, which support evidence-based decision-making. I think previously we had the challenge of all agencies working in silos, but the fact that the service bus has brought all their services to one point, it has enhanced integration. And then in terms of shock responsive social protection, I think we are better prepared for future shocks, which has increased our resilience because we're able to do a lot of, or have a lot of data in one place, verify it in one go. If you're to trigger a payment, for example, payment service providers like banks are also integrated within the service bus. So that really enables you to quickly trigger payments to beneficiaries. So thank you for listening. That is our experience in implementation of our single registry for social protection and the planned expansion to the social registry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. That was really insightful. Maybe I would ask you one question because we have to move forward with the presenter from Chile. But maybe you can like answer shortly. Does the ministry, well, your team, does it have like a dedicated team that handles those WSO2 interoperability middleware related topics? And how big is that team if you have one?
In terms of structure, we have about we're a team of 11 across the entire ministry, and 4 of these work on a day-to-day basis on the integration issues with other government ministries. So I think that helps a lot, but there's one particular officer that is fully responsible for issues of integration and linkage to the service bus.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Emmanuel, for your presentation. We will, we have some questions in the chat for you, so you can take a look at this, and then we'll come back with the Q&A session later on. But now I would like to give word to our speaker from South America, from Chile, Juan Carlos Daille. I hope I pronounced this correctly, who works for Ministry General Secretariat of the Presidency, and he's the technical lead of their interoperability program, and he will talk about how Chile has created this X-Road inspired decentralized interoperability platform. So yeah, the floor is yours, Juan Carlos, please.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to talk about our experience in interoperability, not only the last platform, also the last one, because it's interesting, this experience. But first of all, why is so important interoperability?
Sorry, Juan Carlos, I think I can't see your slides. I only see some like black boxes on the screen.
Okay. Desktop. Why?
I see your mouse moving, but I don't see well, I
Yes.
don't see the picture. Well, I mean, I don't see the slides. If we can't fix it, I could probably open your presentation from my computer. Okay, yeah, Paula has helped us. Okay, great. Can you see this Paula's screen now, Juan Carlos?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. So yeah, Paula will help you with the slides.
Okay.
Yeah, please go on.
Okay, so move forward, please. One more. Okay. We start in 2009. We started in 2009 with a solution that was a central service bus. It has a strict semantic standard. But after a period of 10 years, we reached only 100 organizations that joined this network, and they did not fully utilize it. So we lost 10 years in terms of using this platform. So let's move forward. In 2019, due to the lack of success of the last network, we start again with an open discussion among the most important public organizations in terms of data. We share our experience, challenge, and also we seek for international experience. The result was an agreement on a new way of working and a new model of interoperability, that is PC2. And we learned some very important rule. If something is not like it, it won't work. And that's happened in the previous version. Please. From this agreement, we built PC2. That is a new distributed, secure, and flexible network inspired in X-Road, focused on helping public organizations to exchange information. And we are achieving many success with this. We have increased the number of organizations connected in more than 400 new ones in just 5 years. So you remember we lost 10 years with less than 100, and in 5 years we have more than 400. So we are in the right track right now. Please. So how it worked, this network? Let's move forward. First of all, we start in two areas, legal and technical. Since 2019, Chile has a new digital transformation law that put interoperability as a fundamental principle. And with this support, we start also the technical solution. Please. We have this law and a technical interoperability regulation and guidelines, and also a degree of gradual implementation. So this entire architecture, legal, gave us support for the rest, because without a legal solution, everything else is impossible. If we can consider electronic documents as valid document, or if we don't define how we can exchange digital data, any platform or solution is useless. So with this support, we move to the construction, please. And before the construction, we must consider what aspects are key, with what we want to offer to the public agencies. And trust was the most important. If we gave trust to the organism who want to exchange information, we are in a good step to move forward. Another one, please, is simplicity. We want to reach the entire state, more than 1,000 organizations. So it must be easy to use and flexible for connecting to what they already have. And the last key aspect, please, is governance. We suffer a lack of governance during the previous time of 10 years. So we need to offer something that is more, it has more accountability and has more share of knowledge between the organism. So with these three aspects, we start the build of the PC2, please. So when you have a problem of interoperability, you have the situation. You have a public agency that needs data and another one that owns the data. Please. What we are doing in PC2, we provide a software called Node that is responsible for create a transport layer between both organisms. And it must be installed and linked to the computer system of the consumer, and in the other side, to the APIs or web service, or even data source of the provider. This software allows communication only if the organization are authenticated and authorized, and also ensure the security of the communication by placing the original message inside a signed and encrypted envelope. This envelope travels across the internet, but the node that receives it validates its origin, integrity, and decrypt it, and deliver the original message to the public agency that received it. And for the response, it follows the same rules. So when we talk about the key aspect, one of them was trust, and here's how we provide it. This software in both sides, we create this secure exchange layer, but without imposing any format to the message, because we want to deliver the data as flexible as we can. Please. So if we connect 2 points, we also can connect to a third party or another one. And in both sides, you can be a provider or you can be a consumer with the same software. So in this point, please, we can build an entire network that currently is about 500 organisms that has the node, so they are able to exchange information with this platform. Please. But we have another problem, the governance. So we have the centralized support services that gave us support, but they're not in the middle of communication. Please. For example, we have a service catalog that provides all the knowledge about what the state offers to the public agencies. We have also a semantic code manager that gave us knowledge about the information that is exchanged. Some case you exchange some data that is based on the code and you have no idea what this means. So this is the place when you can find what is meaning of this data. A traceability repository that is defined by law. You cannot exchange data without the traceability registry. And the last tool that we are working in that, is the citizen authorization, because for sensitive data, it's not enough an agreement between two public agencies. You need the citizen authorization. So we are building this platform for the citizens in order to give the authorization. So this centralized services provide us governance and support, but the communication always is direct between the two public agencies that are interested. Please. I think PISE is a good solution, not because of the technology of the development process, but because the technical solutions want to solve these human problems: change resistance, trust, and inclusivity. And those problems, we will see those problems in any implementation of interoperability. And that's why we failed 50 years ago, because the diagnosis was wrong. We never focus on change resistance or inclusivity. But in this new version, we are focused on these three aspects, and we are working very well with this. Please. Okay, let's talk about the achievements. As I told you, we have more 500 public agencies integrated, from big ministry and small municipalities. No matter the size of the organism, it's possible to integrate it. And in terms of messages, with the older version, we never reached the 100 million messages. With the new version in 2024, we reached plus than 300 million messages. And this year, we have more than 360. And we are in the middle of the year. So the numbers are growing very, very fast. But this number sounds like cold numbers, but it has meaning. Please. What's the meaning of that? Oh, for example, when you apply for a house subsidy, it's the Minister of Housing that is responsible to get the entire information related to you. So they can decide who can get the subsidy and who cannot. But for the citizen, they are not responsible to bring those documents to the minister. They're just apply. And this is a big improvement with the previous version, because was the people responsible to bring all the documents. Now it's automatic. Please. Another example is women protection. That sadly, we have some cases of women who suffer abuse and they need protection from the state, but they are not in the mood for doing paperwork, going to office. They don't want to navigate from a bureaucratic process. They need help. So it's the Ministry of Women and Equity that bring all the data in order to give to the woman protection, even if they don't ask, because they are in a vulnerable position. So we can give them help from the police, secure residence in case. We also provide lawyer for the case that they are involved, and economic help. So all these helps are provided by this minister with the knowledge of they can get from the PISE from other organism. So this is automatically get it, and woman doesn't need to do anything. And the last one, please, is the Registro Social de Hogares, Social Household Registry. The Minister of Social Development collects a huge amount of data from the people, all the people in Chile. So they process the entire information and create a number that we call this magic number. This is the poverty level. They collect a lot of amount of data from the, as you can see, it's from civil registry, tax office, indigenous information, and also from the citizen. And with this number, please move. And with this number, the poverty level, the rest of the state are able to decide who can get benefit and who doesn't. So, for example, municipalities can give basic service subsidies. Other example, for applying for nursing home for elderly person, you need to know how poor what is the poverty level of the people in order to know who can deserve it. The same in Ministry of Labor. We had some employment bonus for women and subsidies for young people, but not for all, just for poor people. So we need this number. And this number is provided by the Minister of Social Development through PISA. And it's easy to consume for the rest of the state. Next. So we start with bad decision in the past. We make a misdiagnosis and we waste a lot of time. But after this long path full of mistakes that we have, we start over. We rethought what we are doing, and now we are on the wrong track with PISA. Because we are helping public agency, bringing to Chilean state closer to its citizen. That was our focus since 2019, and we are working very well because it starts with an agreement and with an open discussion with public agencies. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Juan Carlos. Yeah, that's, I mean, I think for me at least, what I'm impressed about is, how, I mean, like how you manage, or, that you kind of realized the mistakes that you made, in the beginning. And like, I think it takes a lot of like courage and well, yeah, it takes a lot of courage to admit your mistakes and then to be able to start from scratch and to achieve the level that you have achieved in Chile with in such a short time period compared to that like previous 10 years when you had those problems. So yeah, I think this is very impressive. Thank you, Juan Carlos.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I can ask you also a couple of one question, and then we can move on to the proper Q&A session with all of the participants. But one of the questions from the chat that I see is what is the relation between PISA 2 and is it based on X-Road basically, or is it some combination of like X-Road and your own developments, or
It's based on X-Road, but like an idea. It's not based on the code of X-Road. So we start from the scratch, but with the same idea of provide the software. It's like the security server from X-Road to the public agency in order to help. So it's the same idea, but absolutely different code.
Okay, I see. Right. So maybe another question for you, Juan Carlos, also from the chat. How do you have some sort of like a monitoring and the incident response processes like for this for PCA to do you monitor the health of the system of the interoperability platform? How do you do that? Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Well, one of the components of the centralized services was the traceability repository. So in the communication with public agency, in parallel, they must record this transaction. We are seeing this transaction record for any mistake that happens in the process. So we are focused on this repository right now, but we are trying to develop some monitorization of the node itself that is not built yet, but we want to know what nodes are working right now, and one of them failed in the connection. So we have this step, but another one is we are waiting for.
Okay, I see. And one more question from me that I had. I mean, when I saw that the architecture, the platform is kind of inspired by X-Road, and well, me coming from Estonia, so Estonia is where X-Road has come from, and in Estonia, using X-Road is compulsory for all the governmental institutions. So, like, if like they don't have a choice. Is it the same in Chile that according to legislation, to a decree, that governmental organizations in Chile must use PCA2, or no?
Yes, it is mandatory, but we have some issues with this regulation. We have many organisms that already have some platform or protocols different, so we need to adapt. So the PCA is mandatory, but it's not mandatory to use the software. So the software must be adapted to some of the previous architecture. So that's why we built PCA instead of using Nextworld.
Okay. Thank you, Juan Carlos. Maybe I will proceed with a couple of questions for Santosh from the chat. So one of the first questions that we had was about the if there is any standard like in India or in Karnataka in particular, do you have some sort of standard? Oh no, sorry, I think this was the question for Uganda. But yeah, for you, Santosh, the question from Joe was if you can describe this technical API architecture stack, and whether you mentioned that there are four types of API layers that you have, and can you describe maybe this architecture stack of how what programming languages were used, what frameworks, etc.
Yeah. Uh, at the base of our Kutumba social protection system lies the data. I mean, as in general everywhere. But then this data has to be shared between the departments. This is the first activity, and the data has to be updated as and when the data is refreshed across all the repositories between or across the departments. So we have a forward. So first activity was to create the data and then share the data for different services. So as an example of housing which we took, once a person wants to apply for a housing housing application, the housing application pulls the data from Kutumba as a forward API. So that is what we define as a forward API, where the departments pull the data from Kutumba. Once the service is given to basically approved for a beneficiary, they give us the beneficiary service approval details back to the Kutumba, so that we update the data back into the Kutumba registry, and then the data is available for others to consume that. Another example could be that a person gets deceased. Now, this is only a one-way communication, because the person's deceased status just comes to Kutumba, and then that gets broadcasted to various departments. For example, his pension might have to be revised for the subsequent, either to his nominee or to be stopped, or the ration card, the PDS distribution system has to be updated so that they take a proper action. So these are the various ways by which we have implemented the set of APIs to exchange the information across the departments. Coming to the stack, yeah, we are purely on currently the .NET stack, with the APIs are all the in-house APIs which we have developed through our team over here.
Okay. Thank you, Santosh. And also, one more good question from the chat from Eric Ramirez. So when it comes to the security, security policies that you have, that you, I'm sure you have inside the
Right.
organization, and that concern all the all the Kutumba platform, are they
Right.
like specific to your domain, or
Okay.
or
Uh,
yeah?
So, to the extent, yeah, with which we define basically the security policies which we applied, we group them into two categories. One is the administrative related security, for example, the data privacy and the natures related to that, the data sharing challenges, the data privacy aspects, and so on. And then the IT infrastructural security. So IT infrastructural security we take care by applying or undergoing very specific audits of our applications, very periodic audits of our applications. This our data center also handles the data center layer security at their layer, but at the application side, we also handle the whitelisting and other security measures across our API layers. For the administrative security aspects, where the data privacy and the data sharing related information, so we have inbuilt the policies where we collect the data on a very data, as the data minimalization principle, so that we do not collect the data which is not used for any of the service delivery. That's the first policy. And then we have a data governance council as an administration unit which work across the departments as a unit to approve and disapprove the access of certain fields across the department data. And then we share the data. So these are all native to us, which we have implemented, and not yet from a government regulations per se to say the data protection rules.
The domain regulations.
Yeah, the DPDP rules in India are getting framed for now, and in consultation with that, we would basically be able to adapt the DPDP rules, which is the Government of India privacy specifications for sharing the data. So it is still in consideration. So till such time, we have framed our own rules for the data privacy and the security.
Okay, thank you, Santosh. Now coming back to Uganda, to Mr. Emmanuel Yeka. Emmanuel, can you turn your camera on, please, as well? One of the questions that I had were, well, I mean, you mostly described, like, the work of your ministry, the work of the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, and you described how you are using UG Hub. What can you elaborate a bit more on the other ministries in Uganda or other government institutions? Are they taking like similar approach to interoperability, or is like every ministry, let's say, designing something on their own?
Thank you for the question. The UG Hub is anchored on a policy, so there has been wide adoption of it across the board. I think first of all there was demand for it. Previously, service delivery across government, both and also in private sector, was a very big challenge. Telecoms, banking, do verifications of customers, clients was always a challenge. So the UG Hub definitely came in as a blessing and has been widely adopted by both government and the private sector. And that has also had a very positive impact on automation of our services. A lot of ministries have now automated their services and done a lot of verifications and integrations with other ministries through the UG Hub. So it has had a positive impact on our part.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. I had some questions that I wanted to ask all of you. Like one of the questions that I wanted to ask all of you are it's related to AI, to artificial intelligence. I mean, I guess we are all, aware of, well, that AI is kind of, considered to be the disrupting technology that, that everyone is looking into it. Everyone is looking into ways how to how to like put it into use, how to gain most value out of it, out of the generative AI, out of the other tools that like AI company providers give us. So when it comes to you, to interoperability and to data sharing, do you have any particular plans in that regard? And if yes, maybe you can bring one particular example of how do you plan to use AI in your organization, and in what you do in this interoperability domain. Not sure who wants to go next. Maybe Emmanuel, maybe you can comment on that.
Yeah, thank you. For us, the prospects for AI are quite very exciting. Actually, as a ministry, there are a number of use cases that we've started doing with AI in our services. We have a mental health and psychosocial support chatbot that is in our social protection thematic area of social care and support. But the exciting direction that we want to take is in AI supporting beneficiary even more accurate beneficiary targeting by our social protection programs. The social registry is going to hold a lot of data with a lot of socioeconomic parameters, but I know there are AI models that can make the identification of the most in need households or individuals. They are targeting, very accurate. So that's one of the things that we seek to do with it, to enhance the targeting, which is really the very foundation of social protection interventions. If you identify right, then the impact reaches the most in need person. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Yeah, that's what I was also thinking. Yeah, like that with AI, I guess it should be even easier to, or it make your life easier, detecting the ones that need the social aid the most. So yeah.
Actually, PMT models perhaps are going to be redefined as we know them. So we are yet to see how impactful that will be. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Juan Carlos, what about you?
Well, we see a great opportunity to connect the node to some artificial intelligence engine, something like DeepSeek, something like that, that gives a platform not only for consume data, is for asking information, doing question in natural language. That sounds very interesting, but it's not. It's an idea inside the team, not a state plan. So there's nothing yet.
Okay, I see. Thanks, Juan Carlos. What about you, Santosh?
Within what we have seen for past, we have started Kutumba since last, say, 6 to 7 years, and what we have seen from past 6 years or so is that the data which gets generated has, enormous different quality challenges. And if we can use the AI for auto improving or auto suggesting the data qualities, for example, a person, whenever there are data entries, the name in languages would have very different things, or a person might have indicated the age, which is basically not exactly matching with some other attributes of his other characteristics and so on. And if we
Like
can
this
bring in an
anomaly
AI
detection, right?
yes,
Within
essentially,
inside the data.
yes, and then keep improving the data to the quality that people trust on your the data quality sets much more, as opposed to basically the revalidation of some of those things. So this is one of these areas which we look forward to bring the machine learning capabilities, at least to begin with.
Okay, sounds cool. I will take maybe a few more questions from the chat because they keep coming and they're like, some of them are really good. So, Juan Carlos, so there is a question: how do you handle in Chile the integration with legacy systems that were never designed for interoperability? That's like a good question. I don't know, maybe I can, like, from my experience, I would say that I don't know, in 2025, it's quite hard to find systems that are so old that they're absolutely not designed for interoperability. I mean, I don't know, if we're talking about like software, almost any software can be adapted, or there can be created an adapter so that the software can like expose their data in like SOAP or REST web service format. But I don't have much experience with like Chill, so maybe Juan Carlos, you can comment on that.
Well, this is a big problem. PC was built to connect APIs and web service. That's the easy part. But we have this problem in Chile, so PC use more than one possibility to connect to the data source. We have this APIs or web service, but we have also the capability to use a CSV file or an Excel file, and the node take these files and create an API for the rest of the state. So if you have a software that has not an API, you can put a dump of the database into a CSV file, and you can exchange the data from other users. And another feature that we have is we have some scripts from the node that are able to convert any messages in transit. So many times we have some messages, some kind of messages that we are not capable to exchange with other, but with this script that we can do the work.
Okay, so basically the solution here is that there is no, or the answer is that there is no universal solution, right? So like you have to take those very legacy old systems one by one and create some custom like adapters, like, or provide them with some workaround, like such as opportunity to support what, like CSV or something, like a very simple format. So yeah. But I mean, the best option is obviously, always to remove the legacy and try to design, or design a new system with like those interoperability principles in mind. But there is always the money concern here, as as I'm sure everyone in this call knows.
Yeah, but sometimes you have a COBOL software and you have no idea how can you manage that. So for that reason, we want to focus on the database itself or CSV file.
Yeah. And one more question that for you, Juan Carlos. So on one of your last slides, you brought this example of the Chilean Ministry of Social Development, and how they collect a lot of data about people, and then they measure this poverty level. So I guess in order to provide the social aid to the people that need the most. Do you know if how this categorization works, or what are I guess it's not done with PC2 because PC2 is just is used to collect the data, but this categorization is done by it's a business process inside the ministry, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I have no idea what is the business process behind that. And the idea is nobody knows beside the Minister of Social Development, because all the information there is very private.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the general logic usually with, with like any kind of interoperability system is that, well, interoperability is basically well, it's a tool to transport the data and to give the government organizations and the private sector with a secure, standardized way how to access the data. But usually the interoperability platform does not have any business logic built into it. So like all the business processes are built on top of the interoperability platform, and yeah, they are like those business processes. Yeah, they can be, you can think of them as, like you can create basically a service that, that implements the business process of a particular organization. So I hope that answered your question, Jasmine. Maybe the last question that we have, I think this could probably be relevant for everyone. So in the chat, Joe is asking, also related to AI, like, do you see that like what types of data do you think are most effective for this AI driven socioeconomic targeting? So like same example as was brought here many times, like if we're talking about social benefits, how do we target the ones that who need it the most? So do you see that we can use like geospatial or mobile data here? And like, I mean, in like, if we're talking about the interoperability platform, is this something that we have to take into consideration in the future, that our interoperability solutions are more designed for like geospatial or this like mobile data, so the data that is needed for this AI-driven socioeconomic targeting? Who wants to take this? Santosh, maybe.
Yeah, I think see, in terms of when we look at the data, one is the data generated by your different application systems, which are within the control of your government, and they give you certain insights on the data which can be used for the identifying the beneficiaries who are needy and define the need scores and so on. But a lot of the data which generally gets generated throughout your other non-IT system related data. For example, you will have plenty of cameras which can give you a lot of data on the kind of the area's social structure or so and so. So these are the data which I find they're large in number, they're unstructured data, and these are the places where you may try to integrate your AI solutions to identify a geographical characteristics based upon the kind of the data or the kind of inputs which you will probably generate, or typically the transport locations or the any community locations, and those are the areas where you might be able to define certain areas, and the inputs coming from those camera modules which are giving you much more insights, which you can also augment to say which particular area or which particular section or what kind of things you may need for, particularly in the areas where extreme weather conditions occur, extreme poverties occur, and so on. So these are some things which AI can really come in the picture, apart from the structured data which we are generating in the department data, and then running algorithms on that. These inputs which I can think of.
Thank you, Santosh. Well, let's maybe summarize, because Anita had some closing remarks as well. To summarize what we have heard during these little less than 2 hours, I would say that, well, thank you to our three of our speakers, we saw that, well, three of our speakers represent very different geographical, political, organizational context because, well, I mean, all countries are different and the population is different. So, like, we all the, you know, different ministries in different countries face very different challenges. And like maybe one like outcome or one of the, you know, lessons learned, or like, you know, I think I knew this before, but those presentations that I have seen today, they again they again like bring me to the thought that achieving interoperability and having like this good data exchange between different government institutions. So achieving this is not a technical project. So it's not like you know, the software that you use, the technology that you use is secondary. I think the main problem that you have to solve if you want to achieve interoperability is it's an organizational problem. So you have to, yeah, like, you know, understand the context of your country and have like an understanding of what kind of solution exists on the market, and then adapt your country's, your organization's problem into this, like, you know, broader context, and only then you can choose the, you know, the technology, the proper technical solution. So over to you, Anita. Anita will talk about the next events in this series, and probably, well, sorry that we couldn't take all of the questions. There are still some unanswered questions in the chat. I am sure that through Anita or through the organizers, you can get in touch with the speakers directly, and have a longer conversation, longer discussion with them. Thank you from my side as well. It was a pleasure to moderate this event.
Yeah, thank you, Maxim. Thanks to all the speakers. I think it has been a very interesting session, very great presentations and great questions from the participants. And thank you all for answering quite a few of them in the chat, answering them through your written responses. So we have only a few left. Those also, I'll see if the speakers can respond to them even after the webinar. So just to take another minute to wrap up, coming next is our next Talking Interoperability webinar on October 2nd, where we will be showcasing employment systems talking to social protection systems. And then we request you to support the initiative. You can contribute with your expertise in standards building or implementation of the standards, sharing these knowledge products, and join some of our standards committee and promote the standards and the knowledge products of DCI to relevant stakeholders. And DCI is an open and transparent community. All our knowledge products as well as standards are digital public goods available to anyone free of cost. You can visit our website, GitHub, Gitbook, and also reach to us on our email address on the screen. Thank you all. Thank you to everyone on the call.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita, for organizing this.